Welcome to Media, Faith, and Culture. Another conversation in media we don't usually like to have is the conversation on violence. A lot of people still say to me, Brett, the world's not that violent, and I really ask you to open your eyes. Look around anywhere in our country, look around the world. We have a very, very violent culture. You know, just like in other categories, we draw lines on what we think is normal. We draw lines on what we'll do from a violent perspective with video games, with music, and the list goes on. You know, the world's really changed from the games that many of us began with. If you're like me, you remember no video games, and then you remember video games. I remember Pong and Pitfall and Mario Brothers and all these games that I would play with any age students right now. Then the world began to change. I remember when we brought out games like Duke Nukem. It was kind of like a Mario Brothers character, but this time he was shooting a laser and killing someone, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. Then we had the game Doom, and suddenly now, as opposed to having a gun, you have a chainsaw. And I think the world began to change. Today, I don't even know where we are. You know, I don't think we've even begun to have a conversation on violence in the media today. When I talk to parents of students in grades 1, 2, and 3, and they tell me the games that have been bought for their kids, a mix of Rainbow Six, Half-Life, Quake, Unreal, Counter-Strike, Gears of War, and Manhunt. When someone's trying to kill somebody with an axe and your kid's playing it in grade 1, I once again wonder, what are we doing and where are we heading? And of course, the game of the day is Grand Theft Auto, a game which made $500 million in its first 7 days, which is unheard of in both music and in the media industry. It's a game where I can pick up a prostitute and I can have sex with her in a car. Afterwards, I can then kill her to get my money back. I can take a golf club to her face will crack and blood will come out, she'll fall to the ground where I kick her in the face until she's dead, as she screams for her life, by the way. And we still have this conversation where people ask me the question, but Brett, it's just what the computer does, right? And I'm like, no. Computers are the stupidest inventions we've ever had because they can't do anything unless we tell them to. When you take a golf club to a woman's face and her face cracks and blood comes out, what's happened is someone has sat down at a computer with a palette of color and chosen the color red. When you kick someone in the face over and over, they put electrodes over someone's body and they've kicked a sack of rice or potatoes to make it look real. If you can do it, it is the game. You know, and the games today get more and more violent. You know, we now have on the DS a game like Grand Theft Auto. A DS was, to me, designed for the young boys and girls, like my kids. Instead, now they can play GTA, Grand Theft Auto on it. On the Wii, which was very family-friendly, we have games like Mad World. We have games like Bully. We have people who are taking their life in this country because someone said their shoes are from Walmart. And what do? We bring out a game like Bully where you bully people for fun. And the darkness grows and grows, and I wonder, have we made any decisions? Have we made any kind of categories of what we will do and won't do, especially with video games? Never forgetting, some of the biggest gamers out there aren't your students. It's those of you who are between the ages of 18 and roughly 35 to 40. It's my age group. We're the ones who spend more time on video games than any other generation. I hear the world changed when the movie Hostel came out a few years ago. Hostel was an unbelievably violent, torturous kind of movie. They now call it torture porn. Entertainment Weekly, the magazine, coined that. You know, from The Hills Have Eyes to the Saw series, they've gotten graphically more and more violent, and TV is also pushing that. I read an article talking about in Los Angeles, one of the people reviewing Saw 5, the movie had begun, a person was literally ripped in half. Once again, I question where we can be holy in that environment, but after the person was ripped in half, the audience stood and cheered. And the guy said for the first time in his life, as opposed to looking at the screen and reviewing that, he looked around him and said, like, who are these people and where are we heading? You know, violence begins very simply with this. Parents, we need to understand what's coming into our homes. And B, for those of us playing violent video games and watching violent TV and movies, we need to begin to draw some lines. How do we connect our ancient faith with our modern world dealing with violence? There are resources of all kinds on the website JesusCanada.com, and my website, once again, is BrettUllman.com.